On Tuesday night, I talked about issues that I know matter to families across America. But that's not what we heard from Donald Trump. Instead, it was the same old show. That same tired playbook that we've heard for years.
We won big with independent voters, moderates, Republicans, and working people all across this nation. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris showed up spewing empty rhetoric, the same old lies, meaningless platitudes, offering no plans, no policies, and no details whatsoever. Nothing.
Donald Trump and Kamala Harris hitting the campaign trail after a contentious debate Tuesday night. Harris has already called for the pair to meet again, but Trump says he won't participate. At least one poll suggests the debate didn't change many minds, with Election Day just under 2 months out. I spoke with Illinois Republican Party Chairwoman Kathy Salvi about how Tuesday's showdown went and what the state GOP could do to boost support before November. And joining me now is Kathy Salvi, the chair of the Illinois Republican Party. Madam Chair, thanks for being with me. Many analysts, including a lot of conservatives, like even Fox's Brit Hume, looked at the debate and said it looks like Kamala Harris won it over Donald Trump. I'm sort of curious, from your position as head of the Illinois Republican Party, did the former president do what he needed to do to assist you in your job in that debate?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. First of all, I would ask all your listeners to turn the sound off and just look at the snarking expressions out of Vice President Harris. It was embarrassing. She showed a sort of a look of a know-it-all. She had eye expressions. That's not what the people of America, United States presidency, what we deserve. And I thought that those expressions, you just look at the test of time. If you just look at her expressions, and I said to myself, there's absolutely no way she could lead well across the table from Putin, Xi Jinping, the guy from North Korea, or any international figure of note. I think that she'll be a train wreck for America, and in a 2-hour debate, you can't convince me that she's the type of leader we need at these times.
Well, I'm going to move on from that, but just a quick follow-up to that, which is, one would argue that Trump certainly did his share of insulting and saying bad things. Did that not bother you?
Well, insofar as defending his record, anybody on this call can ask themselves, 5 years ago in the fall of 2019, were you doing better? And those show that those policies work for Americans, not just Republicans, but all Americans. And there's no way that Biden-Harris train wreck of an economy, southern border, escalating crime in our communities, there's no way they can escape that. No 2-hour debate can escape that reality. So I'll tell you.
Let's take a look at one of the critical.
That's why I would suggest, if you take a look, maybe in the test of time. But listen, not you, but a lot of journalists have already shown their bias toward the Democrat, and we see that bias coming along now with a lot of the reporting on it, the post-debate report. But Americans are hurting, and we in Illinois, especially under the stranglehold of a Democrat governor and a supermajority in Springfield, we know what socialism's like here, and we don't like government interference in our lives. We certainly don't like the overtaxation, and that's why so many people are out migrating from Illinois. And I hope, as the chair, to stop this trend and give people a reason to stay here in Illinois.
Let me focus on that.
It begins with electing Trump, Vance, and all the Republican candidates down ballot.
All right, let me begin by focusing on an issue that I know is tough for you here in Illinois. It came up in the debate, so I want to ask you about it, which is abortion. Obviously, Illinois has one of the more progressive policies on the issue itself. Trump himself has said he supports the exceptions, rape, incest, life of the mother, but he does also repeat a lot of falsehoods about abortions, about Democrats doing it after a child is born, those kind of things. No proof of any of that. How do Republicans and you and your job moderate that dialogue so that the issue can go over a little better here in Illinois?
I think it's insulting to the Illinois voters and the American voters that the Democrat Party is demagoguing and using women in crisis pregnancy to try to win on a singular issue. The reality of it here in Illinois is that we have 9-month elective abortion, taxpayer funded, without even a parent or a guardian weighing in on the decision of a minor child. That's reprehensible. And I'd like to see those people in the news media ask the question of incumbent Democrats in Congress and in Illinois, where they would draw the line. And I'll tell you one thing that the the decision 2 years ago out of Dobbs did is it put the decision in the hands of the voters where it belongs. And that is, people should be able to regulate for women's health where they should draw the line in abortion, and they're doing it state by state. So I think that President Trump made the right call in appointing those Supreme Court justices. And I'll tell you, if Kamala Harris and Waltz have their view, they'll make 9-month elective abortion the law throughout the land. And I think that the majority of listeners, majority of voters, if they unpeel the onion back and look at the issue, they're going to see that that is just wrong for America. It certainly is wrong for Illinois. And I'll tell you about women's health. I'm an attorney. I help a lot of women who face crisis. My whole life as an attorney has been dedicated to helping women in crises. And I'll tell you, I'm pro-woman. And I happen to think that the Democrat policies are wrong for women, wrong for families. And it's really sad for me to see them demagogue on that issue.
And I don't mean to cut you off. We're just limited on time. I really want to tap into a few things.
But you know what? But let's go back to the economy. The train wreck.
Well, wait a minute. That's where I want to go. That's where I want to go, because Republicans said that where Trump was strongest in the debate was on the economy and on the border. The question I have for you is, certainly those are issues that Republicans are strong on in this country. But did you hear any specific proposals from Trump in the debate on those issues, as opposed to a lot of Americans being and agreeing with his view on things?
Well, you look what happened during his administration. There was more money in our 401ks. Families could actually put deposits down on homes and buy them. You know, now people are strapped and struggling. The average American family, the average Illinois family, spent over $3,000 on food in the last 3.5 years. And that's a record that Kamala Harris and Waltz cannot run away from. And so when it comes to the economy or straightening up the border, listen, she was the border czar. What's she done in the last 3.5 years? What's she doing now? They could close up the border if they wanted to and give some support to the Custom and Border Patrol. But
Trump asked that question. Of course, there's debate as to whether or not she was a border czar, but let's leave that alone. Just a couple of quick more things before I let you go. Number one, Harris has challenged Trump to a second debate. He said, well, that's because she lost. All of that stuff aside, do you want to see them debate again?
Oh, I think it's good for us to see them. But there's one thing that a debate cannot do. She cannot run from a failed record for the last 3.5 years. Remember, President Trump, there were no overseas incursions. There were no wars. And yet under Biden Harris, we've got a war in the Ukraine against Russia. We've got the whole Middle East fired up. And I'll tell you, if we get 4 more years of her, we're sunk. So
and one final question for you, because I really want to talk about you in Illinois. What can we expect in the next couple of, several weeks before the elections that you'll be doing programs, policies to try and give Republicans a stronger hold in the Senate, the House in Illinois?
Well, what we're doing is we're reaching across the aisle. We're going to the independent voters and the undecideds. And we're saying to the Republicans, every one of you, turn out and get somebody in your household to turn out. We will turn Illinois around. I hope in this election. I'm in beautiful Bellflower, Illinois right now in McLean County. You could probably see the cornfields behind me. But I'm working as hard as I possibly can to get our message of lower taxes, less regulation, give people a reason to stay in Illinois instead of the out-migration that we've seen. And I'm working hard with our brave Republican candidates to make that message known across the state. And I'm seeing some improvement. I'll tell you, Democrats who never voted Republican before in Illinois will be voting Republican in this election.
Well, I appreciate your keeping us up to date. Kathy Salvi, chair of the Illinois Republican Party. Thank you for your time. Bring me some sweet corn. I love it, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Happy to be with you anytime. Look forward to the next. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you. And one more break. We're back with more WGN TV Political Report in a moment. Stay with us.